LinkedIn can be a huge vehicle for you all. It could also be a wasteland where it just could be a giant time suck. Any of these things could be. Here's my philosophy on LinkedIn, and to give you the proper context, let me tell you where I came from. In 2007, 2008, I had 30,000 plus connections on LinkedIn, and you could be my best friend and post something, and there's a pretty good chance I would never see it because I was just inundated. And people back then, people were asking you to connect them with other people on LinkedIn. And my experience has been that's pretty much almost stopped right now because either people stopped making those connections. Yeah. So what happened, what I did, my experience has been I left LinkedIn, I updated my profile and then just kind of left it alone. I even turned off the emails coming into my inbox. There were just too many of them. I feel like LinkedIn experts will recommend me. So what I've done that's made all the difference to me is I've done like 4 specific things related to how I use it. And then I'll talk to you about what I do with content on LinkedIn, and I'll share with you some results that I've received and the handful of clients that I've had, my one-on-one clients who've implemented this and what they've done, okay? My focus on everything is client lifetime value. So if I connect with a client through LinkedIn and they invest money in me, how much money have I made with them over time? That tells me, 1, depth of my relationship with them, but 2, the level of expertise and authority they perceive me to have at the outset. So if I connect with somebody and they buy my book, that's $25, that's wonderful. If 2 years from now they invest $100,000 working with me, that's great. That's great client lifetime value for me. But that initial engagement to me is usually indicative of where the relationship is going long term. So for me, I've experienced short term in the last, say, 7 or 8 months since I made some adjustments, I've experienced some pretty good initial engagement with clients. The lifetime value remains to be seen because I don't have enough data to tell you whether or not these are going to be long lasting. But the initial investment is significant enough for me to take a moment and say, I need to invest 5% of my time on LinkedIn, okay? The first thing I'll tell you about LinkedIn is that you are 100% right that there's a group of people out there that to me are the absolute worst form of salesy. I mean, it is today's version of sending a fax over and over again. Remember back in the day, they used to send faxes to your office, like selling toner. That's the same. These people on LinkedIn are the equivalent of the people who used to fax you for toner orders, okay? I hate them with a passion because only people who are desperate for business would connect with someone who's doing that, and they're preying on the people who probably need the business the most. The way to use LinkedIn is, number 1, to take content that you're producing for the firm, and 30 days after the firm puts it on their website, you put it on LinkedIn. The reason I tell you to wait 30 days is because Google has a duplicate content penalty, which probably will not apply it probably won't apply to you because Google would never confuse your personal profile page with the firm's website. But I always like to wait 30 days before posting that content on there. And then the content that you post on there, if you're posting content, it's an article, always include a picture, even if it's just a picture of you. People are, I think the research is like 10 or 15 times more likely to click on something with a picture. You can have a stock photo of you sitting at a computer typing, that's fine, but some picture has to accompany it. Now, the reason I want you to do that is because it conveys a sense of authority. Because it demonstrates your thought leadership on a subject if you're posting content on a regular basis. So if you're following the program that we've talked about and you're writing anywhere from 1 to 4 articles a month, then you should have 1 to 4 articles a week that you're posting on there. And if all of you as a group then go and reshare everyone's articles, it's going to get pretty wide distribution. Your goal on LinkedIn is not so much one of increased visibility as it is one of credibility. Okay? So the benefit to being in a firm and having LinkedIn as a tool is that the cross-platform utilization should increase as Brad shares things that Dan is writing, because people who you're connected to may not know that you have somebody like Dan in your firm, and they'll see the article and they'll go, "Oh, this is really cool. Let me call Brad and find out what it takes to work with this guy." Okay, now to solve the problem of the spammers, what I've done, and it's worked like a charm, is, and I can show you how to do this if you want to take a few minutes afterwards, or you want to call me, I can walk you through it. I've switched my profile so that the button that says connect now only shows up as follow. So when they click on that button, they can follow me, but there's not a connection request. People can still connect with me, but they have to dig to find the connect button. Right, exactly. It's in with the 3 dots. Yeah. Now, the beauty of that is that the sophisticated spammers know about the 3 dots, but I've gone from getting like 75 or 100 connection requests a week to like 2, because people don't want to do the work to actually connect, okay? Now, my philosophy on who you connect with is very different from the quote-unquote LinkedIn gurus, okay? The LinkedIn gurus will tell you, view, and this, I swear this is advice. I sat in on one of these sessions at one of my clients' offices. They'll tell you visit 100 profiles a day and send out connection requests to like 20. Because people will see that you visited their profile, they'll look at your profile, and the 20 connection requests you send, 2 people will connect with you, okay? To me, that's useless. I only want people in my list of connections that I can pick up the phone and call, and they're actually going to take my call. Because if you guys are looking at my connections and you say to me, "Dave, I need to talk to somebody at Offutt Kerman because we're negotiating a deal, and I want to, we're going to negotiate a deal, and I want to talk to a lawyer in Maryland because I need to be waived in Maryland or something. I saw that you're connected to Billy Cannon at Offutt Kerman. Can you make an introduction?" I can pick up the phone right now and call Billy. Billy's going to take my call, and you saw that he was one of my connections on LinkedIn. So for me, it's valuable having those connections there, and I can say to somebody, "Listen, Brad, now that we're connected, anybody you want to talk to in my connections, they'll take my call. If you have a good reason for connecting with them, I'll hook you up." And it's a shortcut for me to see who's serious about wanting an introduction to somebody else. I had somebody, senior vice president of human resources at the time. She was at Lexus. And she asked me for a connection to somebody. I said to her, "Look, I don't know how this person got in my contacts. I'll try and make the connection," and nothing ever happened. For me, the power of delivering value to someone else is so important that I only want real people in there. So I reduced my connections from 30,000 down to less than 3. But something interesting happened when I started publishing content on a regular basis. What I do now is I publish 1 regular article every week on LinkedIn, and then I publish a native video every day because I have the video content. I'll explain what a native video is versus sharing a YouTube video in a sec. I publish a native video every day, and then I have a software that produces content for me that I've put in there pretty much every hour. And the reason that I do that is because out of 600 people, I think they said like 20 or 30 people in your contacts will see what you publish. Okay, so if you multiply that by 5, which is the number of connections that I have now, it's still not a wide amount of exposure. So for me to send out content every hour, I'm not wearing anybody out because they're probably only going to see 1 piece of content from me a day if they're connected to me. Now, what that does for me is that keeps me engaged with people who are in my contact database. And a lot of times, like once or twice a week, people will share some of the stuff that I've posted, and it ends up broadening my network. But what I found is, and this is not a number that comes up, my followers have increased like tenfold. The amount of people who are actually, which means that these people have clicked on follow so that they can receive my content when I send it out. And that to me is incredibly valuable because now I've got another distribution channel for the information that I'm creating. And these people actually want it. It's not like I'm spamming them. They're actually requesting it. So that to me was a really interesting adjustment when I switched it from connect to follow. Because when you connect with people, like and I encourage all of you to connect with me, but when you connect with people, you don't necessarily know, whether they're connecting with you because they want the content or because they met you in an event or something. But when people click that follow button, you've done something that has interested them, that was shared by somebody else, and they found you. So to me, the follow button is even more valuable than a connection. Does that make sense? Does everybody get the difference between follow and connect? Now, in your profile itself, there's a banner part at the top, which will just be like plain old blue if you don't put anything in there. I encourage you to put something in there, even if it's just the firm logo. Just put something up in that banner. And the reason you put it up there is just more aesthetically pleasing. Then under your name, there's a little headline area. That headline area is automatically filled in by the job you hold now. I want you to change that headline area and tell people what problem you solve in that headline area. So what problem do you solve for people? Put that in that area there. You can start it with, I help people with, okay? And then at the end, if you want, what you can do is use the little up and down line, the little up and down divider. And if you have space left, because there's only so many characters you're allowed in there, you can put something fun or personal. Like I think I have in there, like rabid New York Yankees fan. You could put something in there about cars or something. That would something else that would engage people. But it's got to be really short because you don't have a lot of real estate there. So make the headline what you do for work first, and then something cool or fun at the end after. Okay? Then the next part to me is the most important part, and that's the summary. You can write a sizable amount in there about who you are, what you do, and who you help. My preference for you is that you write it in the first person. I see a lot of people that write it in the third person, and to me, this is a personal, they're looking at you, so I would do it as if you're having a conversation with them. I always start those things with 3 questions. And the reason I start them with 3 questions is because questions are engaging. And this is true of any bio I write on any social media platform. Questions are engaging. And what happens when you ask someone a question? They're interesting, but people automatically, whether they do it out loud or in their mind, answer the question. So if I started off by saying something along the lines of, when was the last time you received a client from social media? You would immediately begin thinking, when was the last time I received a client from social media? Well, that's easy, never, or 6 months ago, or something like that. You automatically answer the question in your mind. So ask 3 questions related to the results you deliver or the assistance you provide people. Okay? And after those 3 questions, your opening paragraph should be, if your answers to these questions was X, I encourage you to continue reading and connect with me because, and then put in there what you do, the problems that you solve. There's 2 approaches to take with this. You can take the direct approach of talking about what you do here at the firm, or you can take the approach that you're a great resource to connect people to help them solve their problems. Either one is acceptable to me. Usually, I encourage people who are in a consumer-facing environment to take the approach that you can connect to people and help them solve their problems. Because if you're a family law attorney, nobody wants to read about divorce, especially if you've been divorced, right? Nobody wants to talk about divorce. Nobody wants to read about divorce. So the approach that I would take in that scenario is, it's my mission to help people of all professions connect with people who can be helpful to them. And then I would put an example right in the summary. So, recently I connected a CPA with medical practice, and the CPA was able to streamline and automate their billing so that they reduced their accounts receivable days outstanding. In addition, I was able to connect a small business owner with a business coach who helped increase his revenue by 50%. As a member of my LinkedIn community, you're valuable to me, and I'd love to connect you with someone who could help you with your business. Please reach out if you think I may be of service. That's if you're in a consumer-facing area. You guys solve problems for people who have real businesses. I would put in 2 or 3 examples of the problems that you solve right in that summary. That's great marketing real estate. Use it. People are going to talk to you about keyword research and keywords you should include in that stuff. And that's important. But the first thing I'd rather have you do is I'd rather have you write this for real people. And then we can figure out what the important words are rather than having you put real estate or litigation in there like 17 times, right? Let's just write it for real people, and then we can figure out what the keywords are after that. Okay? The whole point is to produce content and continue to put fresh content in there as often as you can. If you've got 10 minutes and you want to read other people's stuff and like it, fine. Better use of 10 minutes or 15 minutes on LinkedIn is to find something that's relevant to you and comment about it. So find an article that one of your peers has written, either within the firm or outside of the firm, and comment on it. You can agree, you can disagree professionally. And then another thing that's valuable is take stuff that your clients write and share it with other people. I can't tell you how much, because the clients will see it. People love that when you share their stuff. And that will definitely get you noticed. Also, you could take potential client stuff if you're connected to a potential client and share it. Keep in mind that I'm of the point of view that anything you share is a reflection on you. So, like the Bart Simpson meme, probably not the best share, right? I see it a lot. I see stuff with, I see people sharing stuff with like objectionable language. I see people sharing stuff that is clearly like racist or, that's not a good practice anywhere. However, especially on LinkedIn.
And also I see people, because when you're on LinkedIn, you can see what your connections comment on.
Right.
So-and-so comments, and you look at it, and sometimes people are getting into arguments about politics or things like that. It's just mind-boggling.
Yeah. So the rule of thumb for me on politics, candidly, obviously you do whatever you want, but I do everything I can to keep politics off of social media. And it's really, really hard. For me, Facebook is the place. I get sucked into that every time. And Facebook is the place where it's easy to get sucked in. You're not going to win someone over to your point of view on social media. It will never happen. You're especially not going to win an argument on social media. So just don't do it. Just don't do it. Facebook alone has revealed to me some things about my friends that I wish I didn't know. I mean, it's crazy. Like, I have lost so much respect for so many people because of what they post on there. And not because they have a point of view that I disagree with. It's because of the nature of some of the commentary. And anyway, but LinkedIn, I would play it right down the middle, keep it strictly professional on LinkedIn, unless you're doing like a golf tournament for charity or something along those lines. Otherwise, I would keep LinkedIn like sanitized for professional stuff only. LinkedIn is not the place for the 9/11 memorial post. You want to do that, that's Facebook. That's fine. LinkedIn, I would keep straight professional. Congratulations are good. I would stay away from birthday announcements. Congratulating people on promotions are great. I love that. Connecting to people are great. Recognizing someone else either within your firm or outside of your firm, fantastic use of LinkedIn. But keep it right down the middle as far as professional goes. That's the best use of LinkedIn.